Hi, my name is Gene Sower, and I'm president of Samson Media and co-producer of this event. I'll be moderating the chat feature and working behind the scenes with my friend and partner, Robert Allen. Robert will be managing things behind the scenes. So before we get to our webinar, 5 ways to get the most out of exhibiting at trade shows with Vicki Lynn Morgan and Colette Fairchild. Get started. Here's Robert to give us the lay of the land and explain briefly how to use the webinar interface. Robert?
My name is Gene Sower, and I'm president of Samson Media.
Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining us on the webinar today. We're glad to have you here. Gene, if you want to just mute your microphone. We're hearing a little feedback from you. Welcome to the webinar. We're so glad that you could join us today. I wanted to, before I turn it over to Colette, I just wanted to go over a couple of things with you. I'll be pushing the buttons and pulling the strings here behind the scenes, making all of this work. And it doesn't work without some interactivity. So I wanted to explain how you'll be able to ask your questions and make your comments throughout the webinar. If you've signed into our event, you'll see below the live video feed that you're watching right now that there is a chat area for you to sign in. Just go ahead and do that, sign into that area, and you'll be able to ask your questions and have Colette and Vicki answer them for you here in this session. If you're watching one of our encore presentations, then we still want your questions, but they'll be sent to us via email, and use that same interface right below the live video box. Gene and I will be jumping in from time to time throughout the program, so we wanted to just warn you ahead of time not to be startled when that happens. So we've got a lot of great content to share with you, and I'd like to turn it over to Colette to take us to the next step. Colette, good morning, and we're so glad that we're able to do this with you.
Well, thanks, Robert, and it's really neat to be part of this technology. It's a little hard to get used to, staring at a green dot on the top of your computer, but I think it's great, and we hope to do many more of these. So welcome to 5 tips to getting the most out of exhibiting, and we're very glad that everyone was able to join us. We have a very good turnout. I think we have over 40 people on the call. At least that's what signed up in advance. Before we get started, I'd like to give you just a little brief background on Total Pet Expo. Total Pet Expo is a B2B trade show. It's one of 3 of the leading trade shows in the industry. And we've been doing our fall show for the last 48 years. I haven't been doing it for 48 years, but this is our 48th year. We're expecting about 6,500 attendees, about 350 exhibitors, in approximately 700 booths on 2 levels of exhibits. We have an education area, we have specialty areas, we have a lot of show features, not just exhibits, but other areas designed to draw more attendees. And we're also going to be offering something special from Total Pet Expo at the end of the presentation, so if you stick around, you'll find out what that is, and that's a value from HH Backer of up to $365. So I'd like to introduce my co-presenter, Vicki Lynn Morgan. Vicki, we've known each other for a very long time.
Yes.
You were one of the first people I ever met in the industry, and I've learned a tremendous amount from you. Vicki is the president of Animal Brands out of Califon, New Jersey, and she's been in the industry over 35 years. And she's taught thousands of pet professionals and business owners over the years. So welcome, Vicki.
Thank you. It's great to be here. I really enjoy doing this with you. I think, Colette, you're going to be asking some questions, some polling questions.
Yes, yes. And the first question that I want to ask, and Robert, are we set for the polling?
Yeah. Let me just explain that. Once you've signed into our chat area there, we're going to pop in some polling questions that we're going to do right now. So that's where you'll see the polling questions and where you can enter your answers. I'll keep the first question up a little bit longer, so to give everyone a chance who hasn't signed into the chat area to go ahead and do that. So let me just pop that up for us. We're going to go with how many trade shows. Is that what we want to know right now?
Yes, how many
Okay.
trade shows have you exhibited in? It could kind of give us a feel for who's in the audience so we can kind of tailor the presentation to everyone's needs.
Okay, so that poll is live. You should be seeing that right now in your chat area. If you go in, you can answer that question for us. And we'll leave that open for a little bit longer. So you can go ahead and continue on, and we'll leave that poll question open, and we'll jump back to that.
Okay, well, great. Trade shows are so important. Everyone needs a marketing plan, and there are many tools in the marketing plan that you can use, but trade shows are really one of the most important ones. So we really encourage you to follow the suggestions that we give you, which will definitely enhance your investment in this event. So we have an agenda here today. We'll be talking about the importance of setting your goals and also knowing the industry. And you need to know it inside and out, so we'll talk a little bit about that. Then I like to break down trade show activities into 3 parts: before, during, and after the show. And then you'll have an opportunity to ask some questions. So as we go into the next slide, where I talk about setting your goals, why are you exhibiting? And by the way, you'll notice on the slide, you'll see some green stars next to some of those bullet points. Those highlight the fact that we have a special survival kit for you, and in that kit there are templates that you can use to help you through the process of setting up your trade show and really functioning at a very high level. So why are you exhibiting? What are your plans? What are your goals? People have a lot of different goals. They want to introduce new products and services. They want to meet existing customers to build relationships with them. Perhaps you want to identify some new business opportunities, some new customers that you'd like to land. Maybe survey the marketplace, get to know the competition. And of course, there are a lot of learning opportunities in terms of networking in the classes that we hold. So we do encourage you to have goals for your event. Also, in terms of setting your goals and being well prepared, I'm offering you a 6 month to 1 year template that you can use to make sure that you are well prepared for the show. So look for that in that survival kit that you are receiving. And then have an idea of what your goals are so that you can determine the return on your investment. If you don't set your goals, there's nothing to measure. So please set your goals. The goals may be, as I said, even writing orders. It may just be meeting people. So be very clear on that. Now, I do recommend that, especially new businesses, that we have some in our group, that you write a business plan. And in the business plan, you're asked a lot of questions. And by doing research, you really can answer questions about the industry. You do need to know who your target audience is and what's important to that audience. What are their expectations? What problems do they have that your business can solve? Another important area is to know the channels of distribution. Maybe you're looking for distributors, maybe you're looking for retailers, maybe you're planning to do referrals from one level, from one channel partner to the other. So study the channels of distribution, study the margins and markups, and also take a look at the competition. In a business plan, you typically will be asked to identify 3 competitors, and I do recommend that you have a sense of what they do well, what they don't do well, and try to be really good at their weak areas.
Let me jump in for just a second with some of the poll results that we got here. It looks like more than half of the people on the webinar right now have exhibited, or veterans have exhibited in 5 or more shows. 31%, this would be their first time exhibiting. And then a few right there, and having done a couple. But I would say about half of the people on this webinar right now are fairly new to exhibiting. So got a good audience balance.
Okay.
Very good. Okay, we'll take a look at what it looks like on the show floor as people are entering.
Yeah, we got some nice pictures through webinar with some examples that we're going to show you too a little bit later in the webinar. So these are from Total Pet Expo from last year. So next we're going to talk about everyone's favorite thing to do is budgeting. And just so that you know, both Vicky's site, Animal Brands, and Total Pet Expo, www.totalpetexpo.com, there are some tools on those websites that are going to help you move through the budget process. We have on Total Pet Expo some sample pricing, what you need to consider. And what I would suggest, too, is to make sure that you're including everything along the lines of airfare, hotels, meals, ground transportation, shipping. Shipping is a very big expense, as many of you veterans know how much it is. So for the new people on the webinar, I would recommend to try to, if you're going to ship to show site, to try to keep your shipment as light as you can, because you are charged excuse me, by the number of pounds. So try to keep that as light as you can. Also try and get a hold of the exhibitor services kit. And you can get that from the show organizer. Most everything is online now. It makes it a lot easier than getting the huge exhibitor service kit that's very daunting, that no one wants to read. But now that you can get it online, you can kind of pick and choose. And definitely spend the time and investment to read everything, because that is really going to save you some money. There are early bird deadlines. If you wait and don't send in your materials till the last minute, you're going to be upcharged for that. So be sure to take the time and read that. What are you going to need at show site? Are you going to be bringing materials with you, or are you going to be renting furniture, or you're going to need an electrical hookup? Are you going to bring your own carpet, or are you going to rent carpet? Some people find it more cost-effective to bring their own carpeting or flooring. There's the interlocking flooring pieces that you can bring. Know what the drayage rate is. And for those of you that are new and aren't familiar with the term drayage, drayage means once your materials are shipped into the convention center, there's a rate that's charged, and it's usually per hundredweight, to move your materials from the warehouse to your booth and then back again. And there are two drayage rates. One is to ship to the advanced warehouse, and one is to ship to show site. So I strongly recommend that you definitely send to the advanced warehouse, just for peace of mind. It's a little bit more expensive, but at least you know your materials are there. It's going to eliminate a lot of stress that you might have. A question that I get all the time from new people is, give me a ballpark as to how much it's actually going to cost me for a 10 by 10 exhibit. And just as a general rule of thumb, I would say somewhere between $5,000 and $7,000, including your rental and the show services and drayage. It could be a little bit more or less. It just kind of depends how many staff you bring and how much materials you're going to be using. So let's talk about, perhaps if you decide you're not going to ship and you want to bring your materials in and say you're driving, most places will allow you to come in the front door at no additional charge, as long as you can do that in one trip and you don't require dollies. So there are some cost-effective ways to be able to save some money if you don't want to ship and say you want to drive in. Let's talk a little bit about selecting your booth space. And what I recommend is to do it as early as you can. Take a look at the floor plan online, and then call a show organizer and pick that person's brain about what they recommend. Get 5 or 6 choices. What you think might be a good booth, there may be a different perspective. Know where your competition is. Know where the specialty areas on the show floor are, such as maybe you want to be in the new exhibitor area, and those are usually at a reduced price. Maybe you want to be in the all-natural area. Maybe you want to be near your distributor, or maybe you want to be near another specialty area, such as we do a pet store on the floor, and we do a product innovations area. So get 5 or 6 recommendations from the show organizer, and then make your choice. When you're designing your booth, the best advice that I could give is to keep it very simple, and keep in mind the 3 to 5 second rule. When someone's walking by your booth, they should be able to figure out exactly what you do within that 3 to 5 second range. There's a lot of competition out there, so you need to have a very clear message. You need to have a compelling headline in your booth. If you're listing anything on information on the walls of what those features are, make sure that you have listed a benefit too. Think of your unique selling proposition and try to get into the mind of the buyer. They're coming by and it's what's in it for me. Why should I stop here? Are you going to solve a problem for me that I have? So think about those things when you're laying out your booth, and make sure that you have a very open and welcoming booth. If you've got tables in front or it's too crammed, people aren't going to come in. You really, and I think Vicki, you and I talked about this last week, that you should have about 70% of your space open. Is that correct?
Yeah, your linear feet, your 70 of your front space, or the size. If you're on a corner, at least 70%.
We recommend that, yeah. And then also have an area for hands-on demonstrations. I think this is just crucial. So bring enough materials so that you can take your products out so that people can come and see them. That's the main reason people come to shows. They want to see new products. They want to try them out. They want to see if it's a good fit for their business. So definitely do that for sure. Also prepare your materials, your handout materials, and keep it as simple as you can. Have a clear message. Don't try to cram too much on one sheet of paper. Have enough samples and have enough demo materials. I can't tell you how many times I have seen a huge line at the copy center for people. I've run out of this, I've run out of that, and then you get charged so much more. I would say it's often 7 or 8 deep anytime I ever walk by. So planning and preparation for this kind of material is really key. And then a toolkit, and Vicki's got on her site, as you see a little asterisk on the sign on the slide there, that there's certain things that you should bring in your toolkit to pack along with your exhibit booth, such as scissors, tape, Band-Aids, eye drops. Eye drops are key because convention centers are notoriously dry. Definitely bring some pain reliever because you're on your feet, and mentally and physically trade shows can be very exhausting. And another thing, that just a side note, that when we exhibit in trade shows, I bring a little battery-operated vacuum so that I can just clean up the carpet, and I don't have to pay for booth cleaning services. And that's worked really, really well for us. That's saved us hundreds of dollars over the years. So that's what I would recommend there. And then know how to reach your target audience. Look at your customer lists, and also talk to the show organizer and ask them for the list of the people who came last year. Roughly about 80% of the people who attended the previous year will probably come back. So you want to definitely market to those people and ask for the list by key contact. Not everybody that attended from one firm. You just want to get to the decision maker. So our category is just to kind of give you a brief idea. And you can kind of weed this out depending on who your target market is. We have pet stores with companion animals, pet stores with dry goods, grooming businesses, boarding kennels, boutique specialty gift stores, online stores, distributors. So you kind of get the idea that you definitely want to go over that target list and start mailing to those people or start contacting those people. And then have a definite strategy. For example, if you decide to do some direct mail, and I recommend a postcard. And you can send that third class. It's a lot less expensive to do it that way, as long as you time it so that it takes a little bit longer for third class to arrive. So you time it so that it gets there about 2 to 3 weeks beforehand. And have a definite call to action on this. You need to say who you are, what you do. A lot of times people will send postcards. They'll just have the company name and see us at booth such and such, and they won't even say what, the little succinct part of the postcard as to what they do. See us at booth XYZ, and then your call to action could be stop by for a free gift. Doesn't matter what it is. It can be an inexpensive item, But some kind of call to action to get them to come to your booth is a good thing. Also utilize the marketing resources that you find on a show's website. We've just revamped our website to include a lot of articles on how to have a successful show, how to realize or how to get the best ROI from a show, and some formulas on there to determine your return on investment. There are frequently asked questions. And in terms of all of the marketing, there's sponsorship opportunities. There's opportunities to upgrade your online listings. There's a wealth of information on there to help you get the best exposure. A couple of places, Pet Store on the Floor. It's free to put your product in there if you're an exhibitor. It's a great place that all the attendees come. They get merchandising ideas. They get information on point-of-sale systems. They interact with live animal displays. Great place to get extra exposure. Another place, product innovations. It's like a product showcase. Most shows have that. There is a charge for that, but you definitely want to be in there. That usually, at least for our show, it opens 1 hour prior to the show. So people could come in, kind of get a preview of what's on the floor, write down what they want to see. So definitely I recommend that for sure. You need to start thinking about as well before the show what you're going to do post-show. How are you going to market post-show? Gathering leads, getting the list from the show organizer. At least, it usually takes about 2 weeks to dedupe the list, but get that list of attendees right away for your post-show marketing. And we're going to talk next about what you need to do pre-show and how many times you need to touch that audience. So, Vicki, I'm going to kind of turn it over to you to go over that.
Thank you. It's because you should have a sense of who your target audience is. You need to go through the list to find those businesses that you really want to invite to your booth. Don't assume that people are going to find you on the show floor. That's an assumption that people make. At a busy show, people have a limited number of places that they really can visit. In fact, you as an exhibitor can assume that you really can only get maybe 4, maybe 5 really good encounters or conversations in an hour's time. So my suggestion is that you invite your audience that you really want to meet 3 times prior to the show. And as Colette mentioned, the postcards are a great way to reach that target audience. But in addition to the postcard, you may want to send an email. You may want to send a handwritten invitation, perhaps a press release, or a personal phone call or a visit. So invite people to your booth 3 times. My recommendation is that you do so 8 weeks, 4 weeks, and 1 to 2 weeks prior to the show. Also before the show, I want you to consider a lead form. Now, many exhibitors will use a scanner to keep track of the people to whom they speak, but having a lead form is very helpful. Rather than writing notes on business cards, I do recommend that you take a stapler with you and staple the business card to a lead form. Now, you'll find one of those lead forms in the packet that you have downloaded, and you're more than welcome to make multiple copies of it. I would suggest you make them full-size paper, 8.5 by 11, and put them on a clipboard. And you can hold a clipboard while you're speaking to someone. So decide also what you need to know from conversations with the folks that come into your booth, and make sure you make notes to that effect on the lead form that you can have in front of you. Another thing you need to do before the show is to really consider booth etiquette and train anyone who's going to be working with you. And that has to do with how they're going to look, their attitude, and how confident they appear in the booth. Also teach people some selling skills that will enable you to find out what the needs are of the audience that you're speaking to, and perhaps give them, maybe work together on questions that you can ask people when they come into the booth. That's one question that some exhibitors that are new have said to me: what do I say to people when they come in? You have to ask questions that will reveal the problems that they have, or the issues, or the urgency that they may have, that you're able to help them with. And also share with anyone in the booth with you what your goals will be in those conversations. So also before the show, pre-plan your lead follow-up system. Some people have databases that they prepare in order to input those names of people that you've spoken to. Perhaps you have prepared some thank you notes for people that have come into the booth, and you'll have them ready to mail once the show is over. Although I would caution you, don't send thank you notes to people that didn't stop by. The other thing, they say that 80% of leads are not followed up. So you don't want to lose those. You don't want notes on business cards that can be lost. Staple them onto a form, and then you're really fully prepared. I wanted to go back also as far as the booth is and the layout is concerned. Keep in mind that people don't buy what you sell. They buy the results of what you offer. So they buy the benefits. So that unique selling proposition has to be something that really resonates with the person to whom you're speaking. So in order to say something that's unique and important to them, you need to ask those questions first. The show is so exciting. People are anxious to share the value of their products and services, but find out first what people need to know. Don't tell them more than they need to know. So Colette, tell us more about the show floor.
If we can put some photographs up, and I'm only looking at a very small screen. It looks like it's about an inch big on what I'm looking at here. But Vicki, are you looking at a full screen on the pictures?
Yeah, Colette, you
Yes.
can just click on that. Yeah, click on that part there.
Okay, I got it. This kind of gives you an overview of the show from last year. Navigating your way around, it's a fairly easy floor plan to follow on 2 floors. But if you take a look at the color schemes of the show and try to coordinate your color schemes a little bit with what those are, there you see on the left an overview of the first floor, and then on the right you're looking at the aisles. And you can see some booths here that are looks like they have some tables in front and some open booths. And then if you can just go to the next slide. Okay. Here you see a couple of examples of a really nice, on the left, a nice open floor plan. You see some nice graphics in the back. You've got some nice size displays there that you can see. So it's a good color scheme. It's welcoming. It's open and it's bright. And then if you look on the right side, here's a really nice display. I'm not sure whose booth that is, but it's eye level. It says it's new. It gives you the hands-on touch feel there. So as we talked about earlier, keep in mind and take a look at what other people do in terms of their booth, and analyze how you feel walking into it, and what things do they do that you can incorporate into your design. So we can go to the next slide. Here's one of my favorite ones. This was a hip doggy. You can see it's got some very, very nice lighting. They've chosen the carpet that's the same color as the aisle carpet there, so it makes it much more inviting to walk in. There's a place to sit down and maybe do some product demos. On the right, you're seeing the pet store on the floor, which we tried to make as open and welcoming as possible, give people a chance to interact with each other, and then continue to use the show graphics throughout in that area. And then we go to the next one. Next slide. All right, here is, it's not coming up full screen for me, but here's another example of the pet store on the floor. And as we mentioned before, you definitely want to get your products in there. You can see some of the end cap displays. You can we bring that? Can you bring that up, Robert, to a little bit bigger, because it's not coming up big on my screen?
Yeah, you just have to click on My Box. You have to make sure the blue box is around My Box, and that'll keep the slides on there all the time.
All right. So you're seeing the model pet store, and this is located right in the center of the second floor at Total Pet Expo. And then in the back, you can see where the new exhibitor area is. This is a very popular spot. So I would certainly recommend whatever show that you do, if they have specialty areas, to definitely take advantage of that. All right, can we go to the next slide?
Right, so next, now we're actually at the show. So my suggestion is that you arrive early, make sure the booth is set up properly, that you have papers neatly stacked or stored in the booth. Let everybody know where all the supplies are located before the show begins. And by the way, always stay until the end of a show. In fact, Colette will announce when the show closes. Over the years, she and I have seen where people will find people coming in at the last minute. There's always a feeding frenzy, and if you pack up too soon, you're going to miss that opportunity that might be the best one of the day. So arrive early and leave after the show closes. In terms of do's and don'ts, please don't eat in the booth. And if you have food, a drink in the booth, put it behind a sign so people can't see it. Also, it's not a good idea to sit in the booth. In fact, I was at one of the big shows early this year, and I saw people sitting at a table with their heads sleep on the table, and they were sleeping in the booth. So it's a good idea to stand. And if you have a partner with you in the booth, perhaps you can take turns just walking around just to exercise a little bit if you feel a little sleepy. But don't sit. Stand up and be friendly and extend your hand, shake hands with people, introduce yourself to the folks that come in. Say something that's going to resonate with them. The unique selling proposition should be something that the other folks can't say. It's got to be something that really stands out from the crowd. What's in it for me is what's on the minds of the audience that come into your booth. And they're also saying to themselves, make me feel important. So get to know people, break the ice a little bit, and it's amazing how a few moments just breaking that ice and getting to know them really does help.
Vicki, can I just say something here?
Yes.
The people that are on the webinar, I mean, you may know all this information, and kind of in the back of your head it makes common sense, but your staff who works or so, they may not think of these things. So I would suggest having them maybe watch this webinar, which is going to be on demand, and definitely have a meeting about all the things that Vicki is talking about booth etiquette, about how you behave, about how you approach people, about how you approach a prospect. It's really important. The owners may know it, but the staff may not. They may not have a lot of show experience. So just a extra thought there.
You're absolutely right. Having that pre-show meeting is critical. I've seen people at shows who are not dressed appropriately for the booth, so you have to walk the talk. You have to look good and inviting. And some people like to wear clothing that's a certain color or has logos on it so that people coming in the booth can identify that you are the person who should be in that booth. Also, practice open-ended questions. And when I teach my marketing courses and sales classes, I find that people have trouble with understanding how to ask questions. An open-ended question gets people to say what's on their minds. And if you ask a closed-ended question, you might get a no that will lead to a dead end in that conversation. And also listen. I think the 80-20 rule applies to listening. You talk 20% of the time and you listen 80%. And by doing that, you're able to really steer people toward in a direction that will be helpful for them to make decisions that will be a benefit. Take notes. And another thing that's important selling skill is to agree to the next step. If you want to engage this person further, if you want to do business with them, please set the next step. Don't assume that they're going to call you back. It's your job as a salesperson to make sure that you set a time. In fact, some people will even have the little cards that you have in a doctor's office that has the appointment time. Maybe put those appointment times on the back of the business card and have your calendar with you so that your prospect or your customer can see that you're making a note as to exactly when you have agreed to talk the next time. So agree to that next step. So again, stand, introduce yourself, don't be shy, and also get rid of the handheld technology, the cell phones, the tablets. Get rid of them. They can, if you don't look up, you're going to miss people who walk by, and they can walk by in a few seconds, and you may miss that opportunity that would have been an opportunity of a lifetime. So after the show, you want to be sure to follow up immediately. Hot leads turn cold very quickly, so please follow up immediately, and also do some post-show marketing, and social media is a great way to do that. What's important is that in business today, you need multiple exposures in order to get somebody to do business with you. The folks that you meet at the event may not be in a position to do business with you today, but it doesn't mean they're not going to do business with you at another time. So keeping in touch with them is extremely important. I'm a guerrilla marketing coach, so from a guerrilla perspective, it takes nine exposures to get noticed, and so at least that many times you have to be in front of somebody in order to be in front of them at the right time. So after the show, also, I'd like you to assess your observations. How did your booth look? What was the nature of the show? Who did you meet? What did the competitors look like? And what kind of results did you get? Now, if you have set goals, you'll be able to determine if you have actually achieved your return on your investment. So if your goal was to have 10 meetings after the show, if it was to write 20 orders, if it was to meet 15 new people or to get referrals, you have achieved your goals. So, but set them first. And then, of course, you always want to sign up for next year. So if you're in a space that you really like, I suggest that you talk with Colette's staff to make sure that you get that space next year.
And Vicki, also, if I could just add a point here, after the show, meet with your staff and figure out, okay, what would we do differently next year that we didn't do this year? I think that's a really important thing to think about. You know, when a show's over, everyone's really tired, and a lot of things slip through the cracks. But if you can have that meeting relatively soon after the show and get working on your follow-up as quickly as possible, I think that's probably the best tip that we can offer, which we often see not happen a lot.
Yes, and I just want to add to this as well. The more consistent you are in your show, in exhibiting at shows, the more you're going to build awareness and an acknowledgement among the target audience that you are indeed a company that they want to do business with. So please be sure that you go each year. Very, very important. We don't want your customers need to see you multiple times.
Right, and I think we have a slide up here. This is our next webinar. Just want to talk about this a little bit before we move into the Q&A period. But Vicki and I are doing another webinar on Tuesday, June 24th, and that is going to be from the attendee side, how to get the most out of attending a show. So if you want to let your customers know, there's going to be some really valuable tips on how to get the most out of it from the attendee perspective. So again, that's June 24th at 9 a.m. Eastern Time, and same bat time, same bat channel. Just to let you know what our special offer is we are, if we can go to, I don't know, Robert, if you can go to the slide for the buy one, get one free offer that we have. Yeah,
we have the link is up on the event page that people can link right to that. I will, I'm going to pull that slide up momentarily, and we'll have that full screen.
Okay.
But there actually was a question that came in, if you guys want to take that while I pull that up. Someone is asking what the best way to gather the hot leads at the booth are. Should it be a fishbowl, put your business card in? Should it be a list that you get people to sign? Should it be something a tool that you utilize at the show? What's the best way to gather those hot leads?
Vicki, do you want to take that one?
Sure. When you're engaged with somebody in a conversation, make sure that you do get their contact information. And one inducement might be for them to enter a contest in that fishbowl. I don't believe in collecting names in a fishbowl without them being first qualified. So if the fishbowl represents a drawing of a special item, it's really a reward for them to be in that fishbowl because they've given you their time and have shared information with you. But asking the right questions, what do you need to know? What's important to them? Do you have a product that will serve their needs? This is the hot lead that you have. And I read a long time ago that about 16 to maybe 20% of people on the show floor might be prospects for your business. So that's why it's so important to identify who's on that on the mass mailing list in order to whittle it down to invite just those people that you know would have great potential for your business. So, but asking the right questions. Don't let them leave without, and also don't let them leave without something in terms of the next step. and information about your product. Also, I have read also that 64% of literature gets thrown away. So my suggestion is that if somebody's not real serious, give them something, but it wouldn't be a costly portfolio. But have those portfolios or additional literature for people who are really serious.
And most shows, too, Vicki, have lead retrieval systems that you can purchase that will give you all of the information. There's two schools of thought. I mean, I like your method of doing it, but a lot of people like the lead retrieval systems that are available at shows, too, to gather those leads.
The form that I have really reminds you to find out who's the decision maker, what's the time frame, how many stores do they have, who are their distributors, what competitive products are they currently handling. So a combination of the different systems really will give you a complete picture of what you need to know.
Okay, and I see we have a slide up now for the special offer that we have.
Yeah, I'm going to actually pull up a little better copy for everyone to look at. Gene, do we have any questions that came in?
Yes. Question was, what kind of networking and learning opportunities are there for exhibitors generally at shows?
Well, Vicki does a great session the day prior to the show, specifically for exhibitors. They're 1-hour free consultation sessions, and Vicki, I think you've been doing these with us now for probably about 10 years.
Yeah, they're neat.
You talk to a lot of different people and given advice. So these are completely free. And in addition to that, Vicki also is part of our education station sessions. And those are for our attendees, but exhibitors are, of course, welcome to sit in on those. We actually have Gene and Robert doing some great technology sessions. So we have a wide variety of educational sessions that are appropriate just not only for attendees but for exhibitors. We do a exhibitor reception the night prior to the show, which is a great place to network with other exhibitors and get their advice. You'd be surprised at how much you can learn from other exhibitors. Another thing that we have for networking with both exhibitors and attendees is an all-industry party on the second night of the show. So there are plenty of things to do. We have a Women in the Pet Industry networking reception that we did last year that we're going to be doing again this year on the first night of the show. So check the schedule and take a look at those networking opportunities and do take advantage of those.
Okay, well, that's I think that's all we had, and we're just about 45 minutes in. So I think if anybody else had any other questions, you can chat them. Type them into the chat now, or otherwise, I guess we're finished.
All right, just wanted to say on that special offer that you will be receiving as a participant in the live broadcast an opportunity to get a buy one, get one free in our product innovations area. So that's a value of up to $365 for just participating in the webinar. So you can get a table display, you buy one, that's $200, and then you get a $200 one free, or a floor display, which is $365. So I hope you take advantage of that because it's a good deal.
Yes, and everyone on the webinar will be emailed that link for the special offer. So if you don't see that on the event page link there, it'll be emailed to you as well.
All right.
Okay. Well,
okay,
thanks everybody for attending. We'll see you in June, right?
That's right. June 24th is our next one.
Right.
Okay. Bye for now.
Bye
Bye.
for now.
Thank you.